Well, I mean, the abolition of the Department of Education wouldn't necessarily take away student loan debt. I don't think. I think they would just like immediately sell it off to a. They would get a fat multi-billion-dollar contract from a loan repayment service that would buy it for pennies on the dollar from the federal government, and then farm virtually every single person. Holy, that is so crazy. Oh, dude, there are so many awful things that are happening. There are so many awful things that are happening that I forgot to even mention that Donald Trump is going to sign an executive order today to abolish the Department of Education. Wonderful stuff, man. Actually, very cool. Thank you, sir. Trump told his cabinet Elon is not in charge. Uh-oh. Bro, it's a weird predicament for me because on the one hand, it's like Elon Musk, when he's holding the reins of the administrative state and absolutely destroying it, he's too busy to hyper focus on his other his other things that strike his fancy, like talking about Twitch bans and how unjustifiable certain Twitch bans are and whatnot. I don't want him knowing who I am or paying attention to me even a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, not even a little bit. Okay? Not even a little bit. You got it? But let's get started. Trump expected to take action to eliminate Department of Education.
At the Department of Education, he's preparing to sign an executive order directing Secretary of Education Linda McMahon to dismantle the department. Senior political correspondent Rachel Scott has the details for us. Good morning, Rachel.
Michael, good morning to you. And the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, has only been on the job for 3 days, but already this morning, President Trump is preparing to sign this executive order directing her to dismantle the Department of Education. Now, even McMahon acknowledges that this would require an act of Congress. The order does instruct her, though, to do as much as she can by law, stating the Department of Education's main functions can and should be returned to the states. Most funding for public schools already is at the state and local level, but the department does oversee billions of dollars in funding to help low-income students and students with disabilities, and enforces civil rights laws to prevent discrimination in schools. It manages about $1.5 trillion in student loan debt, and it also oversees the process for students applying for college financial aid through Pell Grants and FAFSA, which for many students is the only way that they get help paying for college. About 17 million students every single year apply for financial aid through FAFSA. The question now is how much of that could be directed or moved to be under a different agency. And is there support in Congress to eliminate the Department of Education altogether, Robin?
Still so much uncertainty there. All right, Rachel, thank you.
Sources tell ABC News President Trump is not signing an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education.
What? Well, that was quick. God damn. Shit just changed real quick, huh? This is the most flippy floppy admin of all time, dude. It's craziness. I know we got 10 Democrats who voted to censure Al Green. I'm going to talk about that in a second, okay? What is happening here? What is going on? What the hell is going on?
Today, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt calls reports that Trump was expected to sign the order today, quote, fake news. ABC's Alex Perchet joins me for more on that. Alex, what's the latest?
What do you mean? What? Fake news? Bro, you said you ran on it. You literally ran on doing this. And then you said you were going to do it over and over again. And then you leaked to the press that you were going to do it. And now you're like, not me. That's not me. When Donald Trump famously appointed Vince McMahon's wife, Linda McMahon, as the head of the Department of Education, he said, and I repeat, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, okay? He said, Linda McMahon is going to take control of this agency and oversee its end. That's what he said. So what I don't understand is why he's just, acting all different now. But I'm glad that the Department of Education has got a stay of execution. Let's take a look.
Hey, Diane. So we've seen what the White House press secretary has said, calling this fake news about the executive order being signed today. But behind the scenes, multiple sources are telling ABC that the White House decided to pull this signing specifically because there was concern amongst top administrative officials about the blowback that the order would receive, especially with what's been deemed a lack of messaging in place ahead of its timing. And one of the things that was of specific concern is answering questions about how this executive order would impact the school lunch program. And when you think about the Department of Education, one of its chief functions, I mean, billions of dollars go towards servicing students that are low income, and then also students with disabilities. And so, there was a pivotal question here about how that would either be absorbed by other agencies or how state and local school districts would be able to fill in the gaps there.
And Alex, regardless of whether he's planning to sign an order in the coming days, President Trump has repeatedly called for the Department of Education to be dissolved. So what's the strategy here?
Well, it's interesting, Diane, because so he has, but as we know, even if he signs this executive order, and even if Linda McMahon, the Department of Education secretary, wants to follow through, in order to dissolve this agency, he needs an act of Congress, and they need 60 votes. They need Democrats to be on board with this. And frankly, there is no Democratic support that we're aware of right now to dissolve the Department of Education. But what the EO, as we've been briefed on, advises Linda McMahon to do is to roll back as much as she can by law. And so whenever you look at that, maybe it becomes a piecemeal function of dismantling parts of the agency. Keep in mind, it's not just those billions of dollars that go towards low income and also students with disabilities. The Department of Education also oversees a $1.5 trillion in student loan debt. It also oversees FAFSA.
All right, ABC's Alex Perche, thank you.
There is a roller coaster happening with regard to the tariffs, those 25% tariffs that the president slapped on Canada.
Okay, so I guess I was wrong. I guess the Department of Education is not being abolished today. I don't know why they keep saying FAFSA. I don't know. I don't get it. What if they cancel student loans? What if he cancels student loans? Are we supposed to fuck you to Biden? Do the student loans get canceled if the Department of Education is abolished? I also do think it's pretty funny that, again, liberals are such like procedure perverts that they were like, oh, we can't do anything. We simply can't do anything about something that was well within the confines of the executive office, something that the executive office actually had the power to do, which is to offset student loan debt payments permanently. Okay. They utilized this numerous times. They did a pay freeze numerous times. And the Biden admin basically said, oh, we're just going to use this trick to permanently offset those payments and therefore eradicate all student loan debt, which was a great idea. It was a relatively popular idea at the time as well. And I thought if he did this, this would be a major way to bring back a lot of millennial and Gen Z people into the ranks of the Democratic Party, doing right by them. Obviously, people with student loan debts are not just young people in general. It's people from all different walks of life. There's like 50-year-olds that are still paying student loan debts, right? And of course, the procedure perverts turned around and said, well, the Supreme Court's stopping us, right? But you should fact check that before you... Wait, what is it? But if the Department of Ed is canceled, I believe they turn into unsecured personal loans and you should be able to declare bankruptcy when you graduate, but you should fact check that before you read. I mean... There are so many more issues with the abolition of the Department of Education. Let's be real. Okay? So many. Not just, FAFSA payments. Isn't most educational funding done at the local level anyways? Not that I think shutting down the Department of Education is a good thing. There is a lot. I mean, a lot of the funding does come from localities, but yes. There's still plenty of funding that comes from the Department of Education. In any case, seems like it's not happening for the time being. I do think that, I mean, I was joking when I said if they abolish Department of Education, I suspect that what they would end up doing in the aftermath of that would most likely be, like, what I think they would do after that would probably be to offer these loans to private restructuring companies. You know what I mean? That is the most likely outcome. Like, I suspect that that's what they would do. They would immediately go and sell it away to private corporations that would restructure these loans and, basically farm an entire population, an entire generation for a profit. They might even keep some of the insane conditions on student loans, because like student loan debt is different because they're not personal debt, like they're not personal loans, which make it so that it carries over. Like there's no, you can't really you can't really bankrupt yourself. You can't it when you die, I think you still have to pay it. It's just like maybe we'll bring back debtor's prison. I don't know. Nah, not when you die. Oh, it doesn't carry over through death. Okay, I might be wrong on that. But yeah, there's the Department of Education funds a lot of initiatives, including special education initiatives as well. So it's California stands to lose billions in education funding. 9% of the education budget, K through 12, CSU, UC, comes from the feds. Medi-Cal cuts would also hurt. 67% of all Fed money is going to California. $105 billion is for Medi-Cal. 56% of kids in California are on Medi-Cal. Yeah, I thought student loan debt was it carried over to your next of kin, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me see. Student loan debt carried over after death. No, if a borrower dies, their federal student loans are discharged after the required proof of death is submitted. No, it does not. It does not carry over. I was wrong. Oh, apparently there are some that don't go away, but most of them do go away. Yeah, it's private ones don't go away, depending on the structure of the contract that you have. What happens to student loans when you die and you're married? When someone with student loans dies and they're married, what happens next depends on the kind of loan and where they lived. If they had federal student loans, those loans are usually canceled. This means the spouse needs not to pay them back. To do this, someone needs to show the loan company a death certificate. But if the loans are private, it's different. The spouse might have to pay back the private loans. This is especially true if they co-sign the loan or if they live in a state where married people share property. Each private loan has its own rules, so check them. It's also a good idea to talk to someone in your state who knows a lot about these rules. Yeah, good stuff. Without student loans, our GDP growth would crumble. Trump wisened up. Neoliberalism wins. Nothing ever happens. Well, I mean, the abolition of the Department of Education wouldn't necessarily take away student loan debt. I don't think. I think they would just like immediately sell it off to they would get a fat multi-billion-dollar contract from a loan repayment service that would buy it for pennies on the dollar from the federal government and then farm virtually every single person that's on it and aggressively pursue them. Yeah, that's what they would do. Yeah. Cut the Department of Education, privatize student loans, increase interest, all that good stuff. My private one was SoFi won't. My government loans will be canceled. Part of the reason I haven't refinanced my government loans is because those always have a chance of getting abolished, unlike my private. Yeah. I mean, an executive order dismantling or abolishing the Department of Education is one thing, but I think that the way to do that is still going to be through Congress. I don't know how they would even do it. Maybe they would like try to use impoundment or something. I don't know. Maybe they would try to like stop funding it through the executive office. But who knows? God damn, dude. Holy shit.